Get ready to embrace debate. First Take starts now.
Coming up on the First Take podcast, is Jordan Spieth the next Tiger Woods? Plus, what should we expect from Johnny Manziel now that he is out of rehab? And how will the final week of the NBA season impact the MVP race? The First Take podcast starts right now. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Take. Carrie Champion here with Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith. Good morning, gentlemen.
What's up? How y'all doing?
I'm good.
Yes, we are.
I know.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
You have a good weekend?
I had a lovely weekend. I'm good.
And you, my friend?
I just watched the Masters.
That's how
I was good.
Okay, well, that's something we will discuss.
I caught some of that, too.
You did,
did
a little
you?
bit of it.
Maybe we got a chance today.
Maybe we'll talk about it. On the show today, Johnny Manziel is out of rehab. What's next for the Cleveland Browns quarterback? Plus, Darrelle Revis says his social media account was, quote-unquote, hacked by someone. After some pretty harsh words about the Patriots, we'll discuss that as well. But first, on a night when he scored a career-high 54 points, Russell Westbrook also picked up his 16th technical foul, which means an automatic one-game suspension. If not rescinded by the league, he will sit Monday's game against the Portland Trailblazers out.
I got no view on it. He called it, and we'll move on from it.
Do you expect it to be rescinded, or do you expect to be suspended this morning?
That's not my decision. The league will take care of that.
I'm pretty confident that one would be rescinded. But you know, that's not my decision. But I feel confident about it.
Foul tees are automatically reviewed by the league office. Westbrook was handed the tee by referee Ed Malloy after being called for a foul trying to fight through a screen in the fourth. So, Stephen A., you saw that. Do you believe that the foul should be rescinded?
Well, it's hard to say because I don't know the particulars. You didn't hear what he may have whispered to the referee. I'm inclined to believe that it should be rescinded simply because of the urgency of the moment, understand how important it is. They're fighting for their playoff lives. You're going to need your star player, the one resident star player that you have in uniform, to be ready to go, Skip Bayless. I want to make sure I'm clear about that. And I think it's one of those situations where you actually saw him pleading like, no, no, no. In other words, whatever it was is that, it didn't come across as that bad. It wasn't like he was volatile. It wasn't like he was getting in the referee's face or whatever. There are occasions when referees can be sensitive. And I'm not trying to say Ed Malloy, that was the case with the referee that gave him the technical foul. I'm just simply saying that usually when you see guys get technical fouls, they're a bit more demonstrative in a more volatile or derogatory way. That wasn't how it came across to me yesterday. And in light of the magnitude of the moment, unless you're sure that that's something that is worthy of him missing a game for, then I don't believe that it's something that should be held against him, and I don't think it should be rescinded. That would be my immediate answer to that question.
I am with you. I don't think it should be. But I'm starting to think it won't be, for all the reasons you were just getting to, which is Scott Brooks was pretty adamant about how, no, this should be let go. And you brought up Ed Malloy. Is he not a highly respected referee?
Yeah.
I believe he is.
Yeah, but so is Joey Crawford.
So is Joey Crawford.
Remember what happened with him.
You brought up, was a magic word said? Will Ed Malloy tell Rod Thorne today, well, he did say this word to me. Can we let that slip? Can we let that slide? Can we give him a pass for that? I don't know. Remember, they rescinded one that Russell got on March the 29th. So it wasn't very long ago. They took one back. So do you think with a groundswell building, us saying, it should be rescinded, Scott Brooks saying, yeah, I think it will be rescinded, do you think that Rod Thorne, NBA in general, will sit back, Commissioner, and say, maybe we should draw a line in this sand today? Maybe we should finally say, no, even though the playoffs are hanging in the balance again tonight. Is it possible that the NBA, this is my gut feeling right now, I think the NBA will dig in and say this one will stand up?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know. I could see the NBA going in an entirely different direction simply because of the magnitude of the moment. You have to remember, Skip, on far more frequent occasions, usually when a referee is given a technical foul to a player, sometimes it's not because the player got in their face. Sometimes it's not because they're cussing them out or going off or whatever. Sometimes it's to put things in, keep things under control and to sort of dictate dictate the tenor and the tempo of a game. In other words, it's getting a little bit too physical, it's getting a little bit too volatile, or whatever the case may be. But the referee at that time is not thinking about the fact that this guy has 15 technical fouls against him already. A 16th will call for an automatic one-game suspension. And when you take that into account, knowing that the Oklahoma City Thunder are fighting for their playoffs lives, is this how you're going to prevent Oklahoma City from capturing the 8th and final playoff spot in the Western Conference because a referee called the technical against Russell Westbrook, which forced him to get suspended for an upcoming game against a playoff team that is the Portland Trailblazers? I don't know if that's going to happen.
Okay.
I really don't.
Unless you make the case as the NBA and say he deserved this one. Like, you can't just say, we'll look the other way just because of the situation.
Yeah. I'm saying it can't, but there doesn't need to be any question as to whether or not he truly deserves it. And that's where the issue is.
Okay. Now, bigger picture.
Yeah.
I got to make a comment on this because I just can't help myself.
I know you.
54 points on 43 attempts? Are you kidding me? To me, Russell Wilson is shooting himself. I'm sorry.
You got the Stephen A.
We're going to
talk about Russell Wilson later on. Yeah.
Russell Westbrook is shooting himself out of the MVP race. Last night, look, I realize there's no Kevin Durant. I realize there's no Ibaka. I realize that Russell has to do everything in his power to keep them afloat. But last night, it looked to me, and I only watched the fourth quarter, which was very hard to watch. For my eyes, it was hard on my eyes. I thought Russell was a little more interested in winning the scoring title than in winning a crucial playoff game against a hot team on its home court. Stephen A., he did make 7 of 13 shots in the fourth quarter, did Russell Westbrook, but he had 0 assists in the fourth quarter after he had 2 assists in the second quarter and 2 assists in the third quarter. And last night, he went into the game dead even with James Harden for the scoring title, and now he has surged just slightly ahead in the scoring title, the scoring race right now. It's 27.9 to 27.5, thanks to the 54 points scored by Russell Westbrook last night. So, to my eye, it looked like he went totally selfish in the fourth quarter. And a game that was winnable for them, I think they were down 6 after 3 quarters, got away quickly because instead of making his teammates look a little better, he turned them all into bystanders in the fourth quarter. And again, that's not an MVP quality performance to me. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not thinking about the MVP performance. I'm thinking about you trying to win a game because you're trying to get your team into the playoffs. So I respectfully disagree with you on this. I am not advocating that anybody should shoot 43 shots. It is clearly a career high in terms of shot attempts for Russell Westbrook. I understand that. And on that picture, it doesn't look great. I will remind everybody that this guy shot 48.8% from the field last night. It's not like he shot 13 for 43. He had 21 of 43 shots. That's 48.8% from the field. Last time I checked, in NBA vernacular, that's pretty damn good to hit 48% of your shots. Now, that's the way I look at it. You're looking at the shot attempts. I'm looking at the shots made. I'm looking at the fact that what are the circumstances? You're fighting for your playoff lives. There is no Kevin Durant. There is no Serge Ibaka. Enes Kanter has been a welcomed addition. Deion Wade has had about 16 shots in the evening. He was respectable. But, my Lord, it's not like Kevin Durant is out there with you and you're jacking up 43 shots. Sometimes, when you are a superstar, which Russell Westbrook is as a talent, let's be clear, you run into those moments where you're literally like, I have to put this on my shoulders. And what I don't like about what you're saying, or what it comes across to me as you're implying, is that you're acting as if he was out there concerned about the MVP race. I don't believe that about
scoring title.
I don't believe that in this case. I believe that Russell Westbrook was trying to win the basketball game because Russell Westbrook is trying to get this team to the postseason. I don't find Russell Westbrook to be this selfish player that sometimes you paint him out to be. I find him to be an ultra competitor. He backs down to no one. And I love the quote that he gave. He goes out there and he competes harder than anyone in the league. Now, that's a very, very bold statement. I would challenge anybody in the basketball universe.
I'll buy that.
I'm saying I would challenge anybody in the basketball universe to tell me that he's wrong about that statement. No one competes harder. So if you're competing harder, and that is the way you have always been, why all of a sudden you're going to be concerned about a scoring title when you're trying to fight for that 8th playoff spot? Now, if you sit there and say, I don't like the 43 shots, I can respect that, even though in this particular instance it didn't bother me that much. But if you're going to sit there and say that it was because he was trying to win a scoring title, I think that's incredibly disrespectful to him.
Okay, what was the
Win.
rest of his quote? He said, and I'm paraphrasing,
Yes.
and my teammates have no problem with how I play.
That's right.
I think they did have a problem with last night, and I don't know that for a fact, but I will bet you some of his teammates were sitting there in the locker room thinking, God, if we just got a couple more shots. I'm looking at what Indiana did last night. Their top 2 scorers, C.J. Miles, George Hill.
30.
They had 49 points combined, the top 2 scorers, on 24 attempts. Russell Westbrook had 54 on 43 attempts, and he went 5 for 15 from the three-point line, from which, for the season, he is shooting under 30%.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
He's shooting under 30%.
That's just gunning.
Well,
That's just
he's
gunning.
shooting under 30% from three-point range, but at the same time, again, he's in the 40s in terms of field goal percentage, and he's carrying the team on his back. And please don't mention George Hill and C.J. Miles, who I respect, both of them. They can play. But don't mention them in the same breath.
Did they win the game last night?
They won the game last night. Well, Skip.
Were they the top 2 scorers?
Wait a
for the
minute.
winning
I'm
team?
sorry. Is there an undefeated team in the NBA? I'm sorry. Who is it? Who's undefeated?
Well, they won
So
5 in a
don't
row.
give me a loss. Don't give me so what they lost. I'm saying to you, everybody loses in the NBA.
I'm just
There's
saying,
no team that goes 82-0.
the box score is showing me that one team played team basketball and one team was one on the
And the
world.
box score is showing me that one team had a team. They're used to playing with one another because
I've
they haven't
seen-
had
I've
Paul
seen the
George.
other
They
team.
haven't had Paul
I've seen
George
all of them
all
score.
year. They haven't had Paul George all year. This is who they are,
I've seen
and this is what they
Williams,
did.
I've seen Morrow, I've seen DJ Augustine, I've definitely seen Enes Kanter. I've seen a bunch of people score points.
And
other
I've
than
also
him.
seen games when they haven't. So this is one of those games where he tried to carry them on his back.
Crucial. This is make it or break it. They're not going to make the playoffs.
And so what he
They're
did,
not going to
that's
make
right.
the
And
playoffs.
so what did he do? The star that's left, tried to put it on his back. He wasn't timid because I recall the same Skip Bayless sitting here on many occasions and looking at Kevin Durant and like, what's the timidity for? Well, you got to go for it. Well, Russell Westbrook.
The other guy was taking his shot.
No. I'm talking about even when Russell Westbrook was out. You got to go for it. You got to put it on your back. You got to carry the team. Well, Russell Westbrook tried to carry.
Demand the ball from your point guard.
He tried to carry it. He failed because they lost. But my point to you is that it's not like he shot 30% from the field. He hit nearly 50% of his shots.
Do you think the scoring title is irrelevant to Russell
I'm not
Westbrook?
saying that it's irrelevant. I'm saying you can't convince me that in a game like last night, with their playoff lives hanging in the balance, that Russell Westbrook cared more about the scoring title than winning a basketball game.
Yeah.
I'm saying you've seen enough of this guy's, not just his greatness, but you've seen enough of him as an ultra competitor to sit there and to say that an individual award means more to him than making the playoffs.
An
That's
ultra
not Russell
competitor
Westbrook.
playing as hard as you can has to have the wisdom of how to win
All right,
the basketball
well,
game.
get on. Go hold it. Well, then get on him about his wisdom.
Yeah, all right.
Don't get on him about his intent. Don't sit there and say, "Oh, he doesn't care about winning because he wants the scoring title." That's what I'm challenging. If you want to sit there and say he was not wise, of course you can make that argument. They lost the game. But to sit there and to watch this guy compete night in after night, this dude showed up to a meaningless All-Star game and went out there and was playing like
he wanted to win the MVP.
I'm talking about effort, though. But the effort is the same.
Well,
the effort is the same.
Okay.
Tell me what you saw effort-wise from him in an All-Star game that you haven't seen him play every night.
He does it every night.
I'm saying that's right. So respect
There's no
him.
doubt.
So respect him enough not to accuse him of caring more about an individual award.
I don't know.
All right,
You
so the
got to
Thunder,
respect that.
the Thunder trail the Pelicans on a head-to-head tiebreaker for the final playoff spot in the Western Conference. Again, they have 2 games left. We will find out whether or not if that tech will be rescinded. If so, we will see Russell Westbrook playing at home tonight against the Trailblazers, and their last game is at Minnesota. Moving on, let's talk some golf, shall we? 21-year-old Jordan Spieth wins his first Masters with a record-tying performance at the Masters on Sunday, shooting an 18-under to become the first wire-to-wire winner of the Green Jacket since 1976. No one got closer than 3 shots all day.
It's incredible. It's one of the best feelings I've ever felt. This was arguably the greatest day of my life, and to join the club that is the Green Jackets and to join Masters history and put my name on that trophy and to have this jacket forever is something that I can't fathom right now.
Right, so Spieth is the second youngest winner of the Masters at 21 years and 8 months. Tiger Woods was 21 years and 3 months when he won in 1997. Here's the question, and Skip, I'll talk to you first. Do you believe that he's the new Tiger?
Stephen A. Smith, if we're talking box office magnetism here, this is a laughable question, and I'm embarrassed that we're even asking this question.
Well, I ain't asking it.
Okay? But if we are talking impact, performance, how many majors will this young man win by the time he's Tiger's age? I say absolutely. I think we just saw the dawning of a new era. I think we just saw the new Tiger Woods in performance. It's why I tweeted last night, on this week, he was Michael Jordan Spieth. Just in impact, not in style. I'm talking about in annihilating a Masters field with a record 28 birdies, getting it to a record 19 under par that no one had ever gotten it to, and doing something that hadn't been done for 39 years, which is winning the Masters wire to wire. That's what Jordan Spieth just did. If we want to talk about voltage, charisma, captivating the casual fan, just golf gold in the TV ratings, no, he'll never be that guy. That Tiger still is that guy. He's still that draw. Tiger is still edge of the seat electricity. I don't know what he's going to do next. Will he do something we've never seen before, or will he hurl his golf club and hurl expletives and suddenly pump a fist because he did something we've never seen? I don't know what he's going to do next. That's Tiger Woods, and it's still Tiger Woods. But when I look at this young man, what he's doing right now, what he just did to a world-class Masters field, could he win 13 more majors and tie Tiger by age 39? Tiger's 14 right now. Sure he could. He is that good. I see no flaws in his game. I see the most mature, poised, mentally tough 21-year-old I think I've ever seen before. And again, every time he wobbled in these last couple of rounds, every time he wobbled, he came right back with something that was very special. And Ben Crenshaw used a reference before the golf tournament started and said, you know, and again, Ben's an old Texan. This was his last Masters. Jordan Spieth from Dallas. And he compared him to Wyatt Earp. Do you remember Wyatt Earp, the old gunslinger lawman? Okay? I think he's got that kind of steely look in his eye. I think this is mental toughness. I think he'll be even better at U.S. Opens than he was at the Masters. And I think you're looking at a guy you can trust on and off the golf course, and a guy that will dominate in the similar impact that Tiger has had. He will be there in every major from this point forward.
Well, first of all, his short game was exceptional, no question. And unlike Tiger, he doesn't have a problem driving the ball off the tee. He was incredibly impressive because there were times where he could have gotten caught. And somehow, some way, he was able to ward off the storm that Phil Mickelson particularly was bringing on up the rear. And it was good to see Phil Mickelson do what he did yesterday and make himself relevant. And Tiger looked relatively decent. And other than a bad first day, Rory McIlroy over the last 3 days, particularly the last two, was very, very impressive. Let's be clear about that. But, you know, what is it, a 130 after 36 holes, 200 after 54, 18 birdies? I mean, this kid obviously was special, and I give credit where credit is due. I didn't watch it from start to finish religiously the way that you did, but I actually sat back and watched some hours of the Masters, no question. And I will tell you this, though, to answer the question directly, Skip Bayless, because I'm starting to love golf a lot more than I ever thought that I would confess this to you. No, he is not Tiger in terms of the pizzazz or whatever. I agree with you in terms of his potential that's out there. In terms of what he can do, could he capture 14 majors? The guy's 21 years of age with incredible poise and incredibly, as Phil Mickelson said, incredibly strategic on the course. Knows what he does. He doesn't intimidate you by playing overpowering golf or whatever, but strategically, in terms of his poise, in terms of how he maneuvers his way through the course, the kid knows what he's doing, and he's special. And not only that, he's incredibly humbled and, you know, measured and very, very deliberate in how he goes about doing things, how he conducts himself. But it's that last part where I'm going to challenge you about your thoughts on Tiger. Now, if you're talking about Joe Public, feeling the need to watch Spieth because the way we watch Tiger, you're absolutely right. But I will say this. the media, it appears, is going to do everything in its power to see to it that they try to make him the future of golf. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's very intentional and deliberate on their part. Allow me to read, Skip, to you from. No, I'm not going to read Christine Brennan, because I'm not. First of all, I'm not being negative about it, okay? And you know, listen, when it comes to Christine Brennan, you can't say nothing. I love Christine Brennan, so.
But she raved about Jordan.
But even if it was negative, I'm going to be biased because I love me some Christine Brennan. But here's the deal. Let me read from another article for USA Today. Allow me to read this to you, Kerry. He is down to the roots to his lofty stature in the game sprung in the Lone Star State, where he followed the example set by his parents. He is down to earth, polite as can be wonder, who won't allow his burgeoning fame and fortune to define him. He is humble to the core and just as hungry for more titles. And then they go on and on and on. And whether it's Christine Brennan, whether it's the other article, whether it's the New York Daily News, whether it's everybody else writing about him, they're talking about the kid's character. Ladies and gentlemen, he's 21 years old. I do understand his parents were both athletes. We get the story. Parents were both athletes, got two brothers, got a sister, you know, that's struggling with things ranging towards autism. And, you know, they have a wonderful, wonderful relationship. It's a beautiful picture. It's a beautiful story. Here's my problem. You're already setting this kid up. He's 21. Yep. You understand? So, I mean, what are we going to get to the point where he passed gas in public and it's going to be front page news? Let's pump the brakes. Let's pump the brakes. He's a great kid who won the Masters, has a lot of potential. But why are you doing this, Skip? Why are you writing these things? Could it be because you don't want Tiger to be the image of golf? You don't want Tiger to be the face of golf.
Maybe because you're sick and tired of Tiger being the face.
Maybe so.
Because of all of his off the court.
Maybe so. But what I'm trying to say is that, again, we want to praise the kid, but at the same time, perhaps we need to take a moment to think about the kid and putting those expectations on him, because that's when you mess with greatness. That's when you get into this. That's when you get into this way.
I buy that.
And so when we talk about this, understanding everybody in America needs to get this. Outside of the pizzazz factor that we said that Tiger is unrivaled, okay? The reality is that anybody that has the potential to be Tiger-like, we tend to get in their way because we so desperately want it, we won't just let it happen. This kid is 21 years old. All right? Already we know who his high school sweetheart was. We know the family and all of this other stuff. And we have already placed the expectations on them. Oh, my goodness. Stay humble. You understand? Don't stick out your chest. Not that he would never stick out his chest. He would never pump his fist. They even went as far as to imply he would never spew a profane word out of his mouth. Really? Are we sure we want to do that? So I'm just saying, I get it. I understand, but I agree with you. But while I agree with you, Skip Bayless, it just leads me to believe that obviously there are folks in the media that are going to try to make him the next Tiger.
I get that. But remember, he has been on the international stage now for about 3 years.
Yes.
So he's not new to the world. This wasn't like,
but he won now.
Oh, we just discovered.
But as you would say, with the Heisman, he won now. So when you win, it's different.
But remember, last year,
second
he was
place.
in the final twosome last year with Bubba Watson.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah.
Okay. He finished tied for second last year at age 20.
Right.
He's now played 8 Masters rounds, and he's led the tournament in 5 out of the 8 rounds. That's staggering to me. But he's played in Ryder Cups. He's won a bunch of other tournaments.
I totally understand.
So we know what he is. I've watched him now. I picked him to win this Masters because of his track record, not because, oh, I thought he was going to announce hello world. No. He's already said hello world.
But he's already said hello world. But what's being written about him now is because he won. Because once you win, everything changes.
Good.
And all I'm saying to you is that what people hope will happen.
Yep.
All right, what you don't believe is the case, nor will probably happen in terms of pizzazz, impact, whatever. I'm saying to you, even if it is possible, mark it down right here. It's stuff like today that gets in the way.
All right.
I'm telling you.
Okay. Now, to be objective and fair, to go the other way, after I dismissed him as a box office draw, can we see just what Jordan Spieth did? I don't know if you were watching at this point, late Saturday afternoon. Jordan Spieth hit a lousy shot at 18 and left himself an impossible chip shot from up on the hill. This is impossible. He looked at it. Can we see it again? We got it. Let's see it one more time.
Yeah.
Listen, he hit almost a full swing flop shot that I did not see coming, and I don't think any of the announcers saw coming. It was Tiger-esque. But he's not going to get any credit for that shot because he's not Tiger Woods. If Tiger had hit that shot, we'd still be talking about it. And as soon as he hit that shot and pulled it off, I turned to Ernestine and I said, he just won the Masters with that shot because I didn't think there was any way he could get that close to the hole and get it down, in 2 shots. So my point is, he's got some Tiger in him, but we're not going to jump on that part. We're going to go with the nice young man part. That's the tone of all the media. He didn't get much credit for that shot, and he should have, because that was spectacular. That was electricity. That was riveting to me to pull off that shot at that moment.
Have you seen Rory McIlroy do stuff like that?
Occasionally, but here's my point. Rory is still a kid to me, and this guy's a young man to me. That's the difference. If I could pour Jordan Spieth into Rory McIlroy, I would have the old Tiger Woods right now.
I need an explanation with that. Why is Rory McIlroy still a kid to you, but Jordan Spieth is a man?
He's just not mentally tough, and I don't know if he cares that much about his game yet. I don't know if he's that committed to being that guy to dominate golf. He's still a kid. He's still dating some of the models. He's out there having a good time, and God bless him.
Hey, Jordan Spieth, I'm sorry, isn't Jordan Spieth with his high school sweetheart?
Yeah.
That ain't a good time? I think that's a good time.
He's been with her.
I thought that was a good time.
the whole way.
So that's no fun anymore?
He's 21.
That's no fun
He's
anymore?
21.
I'm just saying,
He's
he's got it together.
The 2 dudes that are it in golf right now, number 1, number 2 in the world, are 20, 25 and 21 respectively, right?
Yep.
Well, come talk to me when Jordan's 25.
Okay.
I'm just saying,
Once he gets a little more fame.
How about that?
Have a little more money.
I'm just saying, listen, I'm not rooting against the kid.
Sure.
The kid's got a lot of promise. I am actually defending the kid.
Okay.
Because, again, what we have to be careful of is coming, and I'm not talking about, the pouring the laudables on people's games. Your game is your game. Skip, most of this stuff is about his character. And I'm like, look, y'all, he's 21. Let him live a little bit, please.
Okay, that's fair.
Let him live a little bit.
To your point,
Congratulations.
this article in Washington Post says that he's giving golf the hero that golf needs.
See what I'm saying?
Referring to-
What is he, Batman now? The hero Gotham needs. Remember that line?
Yeah.
What is that? Is he Batman now? That's what I need to call him?
So with
You know
the
what?
win,
He's got the game, though.
I'm not
Spieth
questioning that.
is number 2, Rory number 1, and since golf rings were first invented, which was 1986, it's the first time that a 1 and 2 are both 25 years and younger.
I'm the one defending him. I'm saying leave the kid alone. Let him breathe. Let him have a good time. He's 21.
That's a good thought.
Johnny Manziel has been released from a rehab treatment facility. Multiple sources have told that to our Jeremy Fowler. The Browns expect him to attend off-season workouts starting April 20th, though they could see him earlier than that. He checked into rehab January 28th in an effort to, quote, be a better family member, friend, and teammate. Family attorney Brad Beckwith said in a statement issued in February. He spent more than 2 months in the facility, and that typically runs in a 4 to 6 week program. Former NFL wide receiver Vance Johnson, now 19 months sober after struggling with alcohol, said this of Manziel: he's going to be so different that he's not going to be the same player. He's going to be better than he was, or he's going to be worse because of the things he has to face, and that's my fear for him. He's going to be a whole different man. He'll see now that addiction either made him more brave on the field and not care and not think because of the reckless lifestyle, or he's going to be a Peyton Manning and go to a whole new level. It's not going to be in between. All right? Coming from someone who obviously dealt with addiction, that was his take on what he believes will happen with Johnny Manziel when he returns. Skip Bayless, what do you expect from him moving forward?
Stephen A, I was fascinated by, and I appreciated these quotes from Vance Johnson, John Elway's former target when Elway was obviously quarterbacking the Broncos. I don't know what to expect, but I agree with Vance. I expect something dramatically different than what we used to see from Johnny Manziel, and I don't know if that will be for the better or for the worse. If it's for the worse, quote unquote, and it helps save Johnny's life, then I'm good with the worse in the football context. And forgive me once again, just for a moment here, I'm going to get personal because it's the only experience I have, but I did watch my father and my mother go through quote-unquote rehab. My father numerous times and failed every time because he never changed. It never took. He never embraced it. he never let it take over him, the 12-step program. My mother went through the first time, and it took, and she's still sober after all these years. But it changed my mom in a great way. And now, I must admit, my mom was a dynamo before she went through rehab. She was something to behold. And I loved what she used to be, and I miss some of what she used to be. But when she came out, I knew that she had saved herself because she wasn't going to live much longer as the old mom. My point is this. It humbled her greatly to go through the 12-step program. It's going to humble, if it takes with Johnny. Now, we don't know if it's going to take for sure, if it's going to last with him. But if he has embraced it, if he has let it change his down to his soul for the better, then we're going to see a much humbler Johnny Manziel. Will he lose Johnny football? Will, whoever that alter ego was, will it now be gone? Did he need to drink or anesthetize himself just to cope with being Johnny football? Did that make him braver, as Vance Johnson sort of speculated? Is that what it was? Or will this make him a better man now? Will it make him see clear? Will it make him say, I don't need all that crazy stuff anymore. I can beat you from the pocket, and when I have to, I'll use my legs. Will it humble him in a good way? I'm hoping for that. Because you know what I think of this kid? This is a special kid, talented, high football IQ. If he can help get a grip on himself and ground himself, Vance Johnson went all the way to Peyton Manning. He obviously can't be Peyton Manning. Let's stop that. But again, can he be Johnny Manziel that I'd hoped that he would be? Could he be, as Roger Staubach said over the weekend, a Russell Wilson type? Sure he can. He can be Russell Wilson. He can do all those things that Russell has done very successfully. So I'm hoping for the best here. But again, I'm going to stress to you, if Johnny has humbled himself to a point where he can no longer be a great football player, I'm great with that if it saves him from himself. If it makes him be a more productive human being who can live with himself and live in the world, I'm good with that. If it took away his football, if that's what it was required.
Appreciate your comments, Skip. It's kind of difficult because on one hand, see, I'm not sold on Johnny Football, the football player. But I'm sold on him, the person, in this respect. I don't find Johnny Manziel to be somebody that doesn't give a damn about other people. I don't find him to be that kind of guy. But he's going to need that level of unselfishness to elevate to another level. See, when you are in the position that he's in, you are literally holding jobs and livelihoods in your hands.
Sure.
Because when you don't perform, it affects everybody. And so as a result of that, you have to have the mindset that you literally and legitimately care about other folks more than yourself. The caring part, I think Johnny Manziel can pull off. My question about Johnny Manziel is that how are you going to get them to rally around you to support you? Because how can you be a leader? He's got to figure out a way to be a leader while also being somebody that has the humility to know that he needs to lean on those very people he needs to lead in order to help him deal with the scrutiny. These are grown men with their livelihoods on the line. Skip, you don't think those cats going to mess with him when he's on a football field if he comes back on there? You only threw for 175 yards in your 2 starts last year. You only completed 51.4% of your passes. They were anemic, to say the least. They were awful performances, okay? You don't think that if you step out on the field in an effort to rattle you, that cats are going to come at you and be like, oh, please, man, why don't you go back to rehab? You sure you ready? I mean, they're going to mess with your mind because they're going to try to rattle you. Now, here's the problem. In order for him to deal with that, it may very well lend itself towards pushing him back to what got him in rehab to begin with. Because sometimes that's how your mind works. You are talking, sitting across from a dude that's been covering professional sports for over 21 years. I can't tell you the amount of athletes that I've seen, Skip, whether it was alcohol or weed, and I ain't talking about football players because, you know, they're getting themselves in trouble. You got situations where that's when guys will play their best.
Yeah.
Not their worst, their best.
Sure.
Because it was, it was a stimulant, for crying out loud. Well, what do you do when that stimulant is no longer available to you?
Agreed.
Because it's going to hamper you in other facets of your life.
Yep.
While you are trying to perform, the very thing that you may need to get you over the hump is exactly what you don't need for a multitude of more pivotal and important reasons. So this gets very, very, very tricky with Johnny Manziel. And I don't know how, when you say if it takes or whatever, well, do I think that, you like to give him the benefit of the doubt that, the rehab it will take and he could ward off stuff. But that's when he's walking around and not playing football.
I agree.
When you out there on the football field and you getting hit and people are literally trying to snatch your heart from inside of your chest, whatever edge you need.
Sure.
I don't know where that's going to
you.
leave you. So I don't know the answer to this question. I'd like to believe that Johnny Manziel, the man,
Would show up.
will show up more so than a football player. But what we need to say to ourselves is this. Johnny Manziel, the man, may be just fine.
Yep.
Johnny Manziel, the football player, may very well lose an edge. He
might.
never get back.
I completely agree.
And that's what might
the
end
point.
up being
Hey,
happening. That's the only way I can answer
I
it.
am with you on this. I have known a number of baseball and football players back in the day who played at a high level thanks to cocaine. They needed the stimulant of cocaine to play at what they thought was their highest level. But
I didn't know that.
They could still function. I'm going all the way back to baseball. Darryl Porter, a guy I grew up with, who finally died of an overdose. But my point is, that's through that cocaine era. And I knew some Dallas Cowboys, Thomas Hollywood Henderson, who thought they needed cocaine to play at that level. The point becomes, at what point can you no longer function in society with your drug habit or your alcohol problem? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so Johnny got to the point where he could no longer function in the confines of the Brown society. He was just a wreck. He couldn't, you're not focused, you're not learning the playbook right. You're coming to practice in a state in which you can no longer function at a high level. So you got to go to rehab. You see what I mean? Like you went over the edge. It's not helping you anymore. It's hurting you. Okay, but now if you take it completely away, you have to stay sober, Johnny, or you're going to come completely apart. Can he still be Johnny Football? Can he be that guy? I don't know. That's a scary thought.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that because in the end, in order for him to get through it, it might have to be about something other than football rather than something plus football.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know the answer to that question. I'm not qualified to answer that.
No one has the answer, but at the end of the day, we do wish you well, Johnny Manziel, on and off the field as you embark on this road
Especially off the field.
to recovery. Well, there were some not-so-friendly words posted on Darrelle Revis's Instagram regarding leaving the Patriots. The following responses were posted by someone on his account after a fan was giving him a hard time for leaving the Pats and returning to the Jets. Quote, "I got a ring, I'm paid, and I'm worth more than you." Someone then wrote critical words, including this, quote, "I did Bill and Tom a favor, not the other way around, by playing for the Patriots." So about an hour after those words were written on his Instagram account, Darrelle Revis went to Twitter and announced, "My IG got hacked. No big deal." The posts attributed to Revis have been taken down. Stephen A., we did not, obviously, being responsible, put the post up because there were a lot of curse words in there, and we didn't want to do that in terms of bleep this and bleep that. But what do you make of all of this?
Absolutely nothing. Darrelle Revis's reputation precedes itself. He is somebody that is incredibly media savvy. He guards his image. He cares about the things that he says and how it comes across. And I don't find him somebody that has ever engaged in that kind of diatribe publicly. And I don't believe that the first time in his career that he elects to do it would be against the team he just helped capture a Super Bowl championship for. Even if he did end up leaving for the Jets, going back to New York, signing for 5 years and $70 million, I just don't believe it. There is something, I understand that it's, regardless of the fact that the country was basically founded on this principle in terms of, from a legal perspective, innocent until proven guilty. I understand in the court of public opinion that doesn't necessarily apply, but sometimes it absolutely positively should. And this is one of those instances. Darrelle Revis, I have never known him to be that guy. not that guy. And I'm not going to believe for 1 second that this is a first. I understand that it's an easy excuse to say somebody hacked your Instagram page or whatever. It's not impossible. It has happened. But I understand it comes across as a weak excuse, but I'm not going for any of that. I'm going to give this man the benefit of the doubt. If anyone has earned it in terms of the class that he exudes when talking about teams and things of that nature, I think this would be the case in Darrelle Revis. I totally, wholeheartedly agree with him. And I think that he deserves the benefit of the doubt. If he's lying, he knows it, and he has to look in the mirror and decide that. But I don't believe for 1 second that he would be guilty of such a thing. That's not the Darrelle Revis I know.
So you think it did get hacked?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, that's your only other alternative, right?
The only other alternative is either got hacked or Darrelle Revis is lying, and he did it. And I don't believe that Darrelle Revis is lying.
Okay. I want to be very clear about this. I have absolutely no idea what just happened here. I'm interested in it. It's intriguing to me because we all use social media, and you say, gee, how could that happen? Could somebody really hack you and then do that to you? And my first instinct was, I know Darrelle Revis well enough to know, as you stated initially, he's too media savvy and too classy to use that kind of language publicly. That kind, because this was some low stuff.
Right.
Okay. But the more I read the quotes, forgive me for reading them too many times, but it wasn't for the language, it was for the sentiment. The sentiment sounded like it could have come from Darrelle Revis. If he were provoked enough by, again, you're a social media victim here. I keep saying Twitter victims. That's if you read enough and you finally said, I've had it, and you were having a bad night for God knows what reason. You were having a bad night, things were going wrong, you were having a fight with somebody, and all of a sudden you got on there and you just lost your cool for 1 second and you hit send. Is it possible that the sentiment of that came from Darrelle Revis? Because I could see where he thought, I did help them out. Not that he went so far like doing them a favor. That's an angry comment. But the sentiment of what he wrote, was it not possible that it came from Darrelle or maybe from somebody in his inner circle that might have used his account? Is it possible they got on his Instagram?
Well, maybe so. But what I'm saying is nobody's saying that that's not impossible. What we're saying is that Darrelle Revis just won a Super Bowl championship with the New England Patriots. Darrelle Revis just signed for 5 years and $70 million. What bad moment are we talking about here? I don't, as it pertains to the Patriots, I can't think of one.
Why
would he be upset? I'm talking about as it pertains to the New England Patriots. Now, let me tell you, even though I don't believe he would use this language, as you allude to the sentiment to specifically address that, let me be clear. If the Patriots were saying this about Darrelle Revis, I definitely think it's in him to come back and defend himself. Absolutely. But somebody going off because the folks in Boston or Foxborough feel a certain way, no, I can't see that happening. Not at all.
Okay. Usually when you get hacked, I've not been hacked, but from what I gather when I see other people hacked.
Yeah.
Have you been hacked?
I've been hacked once, yeah.
You have?
Yes.
Well, usually whoever is the hacker, he or she, is going to be outrageous just for outrageous sake. They're going to post things that are just normal. So ridiculous. They're so far-fetched that we all say, yep, you got hacked. They were just trying to embarrass you. This didn't read like that. Somebody took over this account. If again, we're accepting it wasn't Darrelle, but somebody posted sort of in a player's voice. Like it sounded like it came from somebody with a player's perspective. Have you ever played it down? Ha, no, you haven't. Okay. Is that a hacker's voice? See, that's
well,
the only thing.
But here, let's throw this out because we don't venture too far from it. Here's the bottom line.
Yeah.
It's not hard to know how Darrelle Revis would think. It's not hard to know how I would think or you would think on a particular subject. So the fact that somebody could imitate our voice, and engage in a soliloquy or entertain a soliloquy where they sound like us. Is it really difficult to do that? I mean, if you listen to Skip Bayless, is it really hard?
There are only like 20 fake Skip accounts on Twitter.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, exactly. And don't
okay.
get me started with me. And
all right.
you know, I'm a kid. Listen, man, I'm lied on every day. Now, it doesn't always come in the form of hacking. Oh, but I'm lied on every day.
Someone saying you said this, said that.
I'm like,
that.
my attitude is this.
Okay.
Hey, you know what?
Sure.
You got the attention you want. You happy? I'm still doing what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm getting paid to do it. I'm good. Go ahead and lie. You know, but if you're Darrelle Revis, is it really hard to figure out what his voice would be, what context he would disseminate? Of course it's not.
Okay.
So that don't mean anything.
So, Skip, you said some of the things sounded like a player, never played it down. Okay, I understand that. But then the other words that were added seemed a bit childish. Like you could say, oh, fine. It didn't seem like if he really wanted to come at someone on Twitter, he would use those particular insults.
Well, they're angry insults. They're furious.
But they're very sophomoric, too.
In the end, so what? Because the bottom line is this: Darrelle Revis helped New England capture the Super Bowl for the first time in 10 years.
They did each other.
And
they're both happy.
Darrelle Revis signed for $70 million. They got their rings. They kept Tom Brady.
Yeah.
You understand? He got his money. He's back in New York. So what? Who cares?
Back to the NBA. Indiana Pacers forward Chris Copeland was released from a New York hospital this weekend. Copeland suffered knife wounds to his left elbow and abdomen during an altercation outside of a New York City nightclub. The man who attacked Copeland was arrested along with 2 members of the Hawks. Fabo Cephalosha and Pero Antich, the 2 Hawks players, were charged with obstruction of justice, which is being investigated by the police and the players' union. Meanwhile, Copeland's former teammate J.R. Smith has some advice for him. Quote, "For me, I feel like a target every time, so I try to handle myself with care when I'm out and about. It's one of those situations when you're out at 4 in the morning. I'm not saying it's Copeland's fault by any means, but when you're out at 4 in the morning, there's no way you should be walking anywhere. You get in your car and go home or go wherever you're going. That's one of my cardinal rules. You don't just stand outside of that events like that. You just get in and go and keep it moving." Smith has a very well-known documented relationships with the clubs in New York City when he was a player for the Knicks. So, Stephen A., does he have a point?
Well, first of all, let me stop laughing.
Because he's giving life advice. He's learned.
Well, the first thing that just popped into my head is the New York Knicks were probably saying the Mike Woodsons of the world, who's now an assistant coach with the Los Angeles Clippers, who, by the way, should receive strong head coaching consideration for some of these impending upcoming head coaching openings, by the way. I'm sure Mike Woodson, along with several others associated with the New York Knicks over the past couple of years, saying, where the hell was this guy? I mean, now you tell us this? You're a little bit late to that party, ain't you? But in all seriousness, JR's right. Mm-hmm. He's absolutely correct. As somebody who doesn't believe they should have an 11 o'clock curfew, Skip Bayless, I'm also
I didn't say 11.
Well, you have in the past.
I said midnight.
Midnight, he said, not 11.
But with that being said, I will admit to you, there's not too much that good that can come from you being out 4 in the morning. There is no question about that. Having said all of that, I mean, listen, man, we live in a different age, and I think that J.R. Smith was absolutely right. Because, number one, you don't want to be alone. You shouldn't be alone. Yep. Number two, cats that are usually hanging out that late, particularly if you're a guy associated with the NBA, the belief is you got money. So, you know, it could be a problem. So being alone is a problem. Walking the streets is a problem. And it's a problem for the average Joe at particular times of night, depending on what neighborhood you in or whatever the case may be. So you know it's going to be a problem for a 6'8" NBA player. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just stands to reason. That's just a logical assumption that J.R. Smith articulated. But in the end, again, he's right. It's a different age. It's a different time. You got to pay attention to where you are, who you're around. You got to have your peeps around you, protecting you. You want to avoid trouble at all costs. And sometimes the best way to avoid trouble is to anticipate it. Mm-hmm. I know I always do. So I just think it's the smart way to go. And again, you know, in this day and age, I mean, you're an NBA player, you out 4 in the morning. You know, it's unfair to sit there and label that player as doing something wrong. But at the very least, you are kind of asking for trouble.
Just because of who you are.
Because of who you are and the world we're living in. You got to pay attention to what's going on out here. We can sit there and talk about the economy and all of this stuff all we want to. There's a lot of people out there struggling. There's a lot of people, I won't say starving, but feel like they're starving. It's a lot of people resentful of what others have. And you are inviting trouble if you find yourself in certain confines and certain surroundings devoid of any kind of security whatsoever. And you don't need to be walking around. You know, you got a driver. Listen, you paying the driver. Roll around the front door.
Absolutely.
If you're going to be in some place, you walk out. The door should be, the car door should be right there waiting for you. It really, really should not be.
You're not an NBA player, and you often say you don't go anywhere by yourself for a certain reason.
Oh, no. I always have somebody with me, even when people don't see me. I got somebody lurking. I'm never alone.
So sometimes, it could
I'm never
be you.
alone.
You
I'm
could be
never
the
alone.
heavy.
I better leave him alone.
Okay.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm never alone. I ain't gonna lie to you. I mean, if somebody starts something, it's gonna be a problem because I'm not alone.
Allow me to say, I like J.R. Smith. I really do. There's
So do I.
something about him.
Great golfer too.
He's a great golfer.
Yes.
I wouldn't go great, but he's.
So I'm saying he's a good
golfer.
Really good as a player. Really good
Who's
as a player.
better?
I'm saying.
J.R. He plays a lot more.
Okay.
But when I first read these quotes, I chuckled like you did because it comes off as blind leading the blind here. You know, J.R. is dispensing wisdom, although it was wisdom. It was wise what he said. You better have your car pull up to the front. You better not spend a second, more than a second, on that sidewalk because bad things are going to happen outside the confines of the VIP section of the club. You always lecture me. You can go in the VIP section, and if you surround yourself with your people, you can have a good time in kind of a private party setting.
Right.
I have argued with you for how long has it been? Since I've known you, right?
Yes.
I've always said, this is just me, that nothing good can ever happen to a pro or college athlete who's in a club setting after midnight. Stuff is going to go wrong.
And my response to you has always been, that's true, but a lot of good doesn't happen before that time either.
All right.
You understand? I'm talking about like midnight. Ain't nobody partying at 9 p.m.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
You can throw.
Skip
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Skip
I'm
is the
just
party
saying.
at 9
All right.
early.
Yeah.
You can throw your parties in private settings. You can do it in your house, or your apartment, or your penthouse,
Yes,
or
I
wherever
agree
it
with
is. You
that.
can, and you can control your environment. Because when you can't control that environment, I've said this a million times on this show, when you combine alcohol and maybe some drugs and some guns and some knives and some females and some testosterone, stuff can go wrong for the pro athlete who is the target in this setting, right? Because you are the biggest, literally and figuratively, the biggest target at 6'8" or whatever you are. So to me, I have no idea what actually happened. I was curious about Antich's comments that I read today, which are that we had nothing to do with the Chris Copeland incident.
They weren't even there. They weren't there with them, rather.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we all leaped to that conclusion that they were somehow trying to interfere or protect.
Two separate incidents.
Okay, and now we have big issues. Did the police go too far? And again, the NBA is investigating. I have no idea what happened.
His leg is broken as a result.
Yeah.
You don't know
Listen,
what's happening.
JR was spewing some wisdom, and in all seriousness, you know, you can't always listen. There are some situations where you can't protect yourself. I've known athletes that they were doing nothing but going out to dinner, and they come out and it's a problem. It's the car you driving in, or somebody that you know, or it's the bling that you happen to wear, or whatever the case may be. Doesn't mean they were bothering anybody, but we live in a society where they don't care if you're not bothering anybody or not. They're looking to take advantage when they can, and you have to find ways to protect yourself. And you know, the NBA does a good job of educating these guys on what they need to do to secure themselves. But some guys, sometimes they find themselves in situations, it makes no sense. If you are worth $40 or $50 million, how come you can't have a bodyguard with you? How come you can't have a car service? Why would you not?
So maybe I'm leaping to this conclusion unfairly, but I look at a Cephalosha, who was a very valuable piece to what the Atlanta Hawks have achieved so far this year. And all of a sudden, because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time at 4 o'clock in the morning, he's gone with a broken leg. And if I'm his teammate, again, it could have been circumstances completely, as you point out, beyond his control. But you were at the wrong place at the wrong time, and you cost your teammates a very valuable piece to this puzzle in the postseason, right?
Well, you might look at it that way. I'm going to look at your actions. It's got to be more than you just being out. You know, it can't be, well, I was just out. and I left and somebody ambushed me, so it's my fault.
Sure.
That could happen while you walking into your crib.
Yeah.
You got to remember, there are NBA players who have been robbed at home.
Sure they have.
You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, it could be a variety of things, man, and you got to take that into consideration, too. It's usually not these guys' fault. It's just one of those things where they're in the public eye, and they have it, NBA players have it harder than NFL players. And the reason why you have it harder because you ain't wearing the helmet with shoulder pads.
You are.
You know, they know who you are. You're more visible.
Yep.
And as a result, you're an easier target because they know who you are. That's why, you know, I mean, listen, man, your life changes. When people know who you are, your life should change.
You got it.
It
So,
should change.
bottom line to this discussion, when Stephen A. Smith leaves One Oak
Yes.
at 4 o'clock in the morning,
He has people
calls,
with him.
He calls the limo driver and says, be at
Be
the
there,
front.
waiting.
No. I don't stay out past 2.
Oh, 2 o'clock.
You're working on it.
anymore. And by the way, that's been years. And even now, I barely stay out past midnight. You understand? I got certain rules. I got certain rules. First of all, I have no desire. The only spot that I like I ain't gonna tell you.
I was going to say, what are you doing?
I don't do that. but I only have one spot that I like to visit, and that's only to go there and to chill and to get a drink. You understand? I have a 2-drink maximum, okay? And that's only on about 3 or 4 occasions a year. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything. And and if I'm going someplace public, like a party or whatever, y'all seen it with the ESPN party. It was a drive away from me. Everybody walking blocks or whatever.
I saw it. He didn't see it.
The
'Cause you didn't go to the ESPN party.
the driver brought me right up there to the head of ESPN security, who was right there when I got out.
Time out. Did you go to the ESPN party? You were dancing, right?
I was dancing. Yes. I think I missed you there.
I missed you by that much.
I assure you, if you were there, you wouldn't have miscarried. I'll leave it at that.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
After an impressive round on Saturday, Tiger's final round at the Masters got off to a very rough start. He finished 5 under overall in his first tournament back, tied for 17th, which was actually his best major finish since 2013 at the Open. What was your takeaway, Skip Bayless?
Carrie, Stephen A. My final takeaway was I saw the same old Tiger, who still hasn't even come close to winning a major championship since Y.E. Yang beat him on the final hole of the 2009 PGA. But, that said, given where we last saw Tiger complete a full round, which was on the Friday we were in Phoenix.
Right.
That would have been the Friday night of the party.
Of the party. Where,
So that would have been, so you weren't watching.
No, I was
You
hanging with
did
Tiger.
party.
I was hanging with
Okay.
Tiger. Yeah.
But that day, as you recall, in Phoenix, Tiger Woods shot 82, his career worst. Given the fact that that was basically the last we saw him, though he played 11 holes at Torrey Pines the next week, I was astonished by how well he played on Thursday and Friday and Saturday. I was astounded that he stared down those chip-yip demons that we saw him have at several tournaments prior to Phoenix and up through Phoenix, and chipped the ball beautifully at the most difficult place to chip the golf ball in the world, because you don't get any good lie. Everything's awkward at Augusta. Everything's tight. Everything is so spot-lit. You were on the international stage, and Tiger Woods did not flinch on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. But slowly but surely on Saturday and Sunday, the old bugaboo came back. Tiger Woods, who made his reputation with his driver, just absolutely annihilating and intimidating fields by hitting it farther than anybody at that time. I'm going back to 2000, 2001. Can no longer drive the golf ball straight. And if you can't drive it straight at all, if you can't trust the left miss or the right miss, you can't win a golf tournament. I'm sorry. And we started seeing the wheels wobble and come off on Saturday. He hit 8 out of 14 fairways, so he missed 6 fairways on Saturday.
Yep.
And how he got out of the undergrowth left on number 13, they didn't show it on CBS, but I don't know. It looked like, and we heard some bombs fly out of his mouth when he snap hooked it left into the growth. And all of a sudden I look up, and he's somehow gotten out of jail, and he's down the fairway, and he's making a birdie. And I said, I don't know how that happened because I didn't get to see it. But he survived Saturday, but he could not survive Sunday. He missed every fairway on the front 9. That's 7 out of 9 holes that would have a fairway to miss. He missed all 7 of them. And he wound up hitting 2 for the day. You're not going to be very good, and he wasn't. He shot 73. He was never even a factor when everybody thought he could be. So what happened psychologically to Tiger Woods? There was little to no expectation in round 1, or probably 2 or 3. But by Sunday, we're all starting to get up on the edge of our seat thinking, is he going to make an early charge here? Are we going to hear some Tiger roars here? Are we going to? Yeah. Nope. Because the pressure began to eat at him again. He's got the world on his shoulders because he's 39 years of age, and it's been so long, obviously all the way back to 2007 since he won a major championship. So we've almost gone 8 years, 10 years since he won a Masters. And he crumbled under the growing pressure to get in contention. He couldn't even get in contention. Obviously, Jordan Spieth was not going to be caught on this day because others tried and failed also. Phil and Justin Rose, and we can go on and on. But my final takeaway was I didn't see that much different in this Tiger Woods.
Well, see, it's interesting. So let me get this straight because, you know, I lean on you with your golf expertise. You're telling me that Tiger couldn't hit fairways, couldn't drive the ball off the tee, and certainly couldn't putt. He missed putting on 2, 3, and 4.
He putted okay. He made the eagle putt on 13.
Yeah, but that was it.
You know, I looked at
but he missed 3 gimmies.
Okay.
So his short
They
game.
weren't gimmies. They were tough. They're tricky
all right.
putts.
I guess what I'm saying. Gimmies for Tiger at one time.
At one time they were. That's fair.
Here's my point. In the end, if you're struggling putting and you're struggling driving the ball off the tee, you're struggling as a golfer. It's just that simple. And then when you combine that with the fact that he's sitting here and once again finding these moral victories, it felt good.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm proud of myself.
I'm proud of myself. You have no idea how much work it took just to get to this point.
You're right.
Well, we understand that, but Phil shot him under minus 14. That would usually be good to win. I mean, you're raving about Phil Mickelson today because you know that Jordan Spieth won it.
Yep.
Not that Phil Mickelson lost it.
Right.
You look at a Rory McIlroy, albeit considerably younger, 14 years younger. You're looking at a guy that didn't show up day 1.
Or showed up
two. Yeah, pretty much 2, but showed up the last 2 days. Okay?
And remember, head-to-head with Tiger on Sunday,
that's right.
He goes 66 to 73.
There we go.
Okay.
So I'm looking at it from the perspective that you're watching guys who can legitimately sit here and say to you, I'm right here. And they're not talking, with cliches. They're not finding moral victories. They're saying to you, we're here because would Jordan Spieth play like this any other day? A minus 18? Tying Tiger Woods' record from 1997? Would he do it? Do you expect him to do that again? If Phil Mickelson could play like this again, chances are he's going to win another major.
You got that right.
So that's the whole point. When you look at Tiger, you know what you finished 17th, bro, and you're finding moral victories. To me, Tiger has to make a decision. Am I here to win or am I here to play? If I just want to play, well then all right, there's nothing wrong with it. But if I'm trying to win, he may need to go away and just come back, get himself together, because you're working on stuff while you're trying to win. You go away for a couple of months, and the last 2 tournaments prior to yesterday, prior to this past weekend, your short game looked horrible. It looked like I could compete with you in your short game. That's how bad this short game was. It was that god-awful. Wow. So what you do, you go and you fix that. But then you turn around, okay, and now you can't drive the ball, you can't hit the fairway. You're average with putting. Come on now. It's like he's trying to piecemeal everything together. That ain't gonna work.
Okay, Stephen A., what grade would you give him? Did he perform better than you anticipated?
Well, he performed better, but Kerry, it's because he couldn't get much worse based on what we saw the previous 2 tournaments. So all I'm saying to you is that, you want to see what you did? Congratulations. Yep. I'm so touched. In the end, you're not Tiger. You're not Tiger. And it's getting to the point where it's embarrassing to me, not because of the outcome, Skip. It's because he's not even willing to say, look, man, I'm so far gone. I'm so off. I just got to work my way back. No, he's trying to find moral victories. Well, my short game looked better. That's the best you can do.
He's trying to create the narrative and sell it for people.
This is Tiger.
This is Tiger Woods.
Really?
He dominated this sport the way nobody will ever dominate it for that stretch. There's never going to be anything like the electricity that he generated in 2000, 2001. And we keep waiting for that guy to rear his head again. Nope. Remember, even since in the 10 years he hasn't won the Masters, he's been pretty much a lock to finish top 5, and he finished 17th. Now, he was top 5
top 10. He hasn't cracked
But
top
I thought
10.
I was under the impression you would be surprised he would make the cut. Because
I was. I give it, but then we have to, where's your bar? Where are you setting his bar? Should it be set down here, or should it be, once he showed me those flashes of old Tiger, I thought, okay, he's in position. Let's see him take a run on Sunday at Jordan Spieth. And I really thought he would, paired with Rory. I thought they'd be neck and neck, head to head. Can you top this? The two guns of golf, the two players that everybody is most excited about in golf. Rory McIlroy versus Tiger Woods. And Rory goes 66 and Tiger goes 73. That is not impressive. I mean, Tiger yesterday got beaten by Vijay Singh. Come on, really? Some of the old guys in the field play better than Tiger.
It's starting to look, or I should say starting. It's looking very bad. It's getting very embarrassing because his quotes are bringing even more attention to his game than the media is.
Sure.
It's one thing for people to chronicle, this is how you looked, this is how you played. It's another thing for you to be sitting there talking about, I'm proud of how I played. I'm looking at this, I'm making progress.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
And I got to throw this out because we've seen a pattern of this. Every time Tiger seems to be coming apart, all of a sudden he's injured. Well, it looked like he had a legit injury yesterday. It looked like he did connect with the root on his downswing on 9 out of the pine straw and ringing his wrist. And then he says afterwards a small bone popped out, which he later amended to a ligament popped out, and he popped it back in. And I was so mesmerized by the quote, I actually contacted 2 excellent surgeons I know. And I said, is this possible? Could he have popped a bone back in his wrist? And they said, it's highly unlikely, but it's possible. So I thought, maybe he fixed himself. Maybe he healed himself on the way to the 10th.
I'm just saying,
I don't know.
All I'm saying to you is that I'm reading stuff, and listen, I'll joke around with friends and people like that. I'll be like, you're not a winner. I'm looking at you like you're not a winner. Tiger Woods does not look like a winner because he accepts losing too easily now. He accepts mediocrity too easily now.
Yeah.
And that is my concern about him.
Yeah, one of his small victories, Tiger says he shot back-to-back 60s on Friday and Saturday, the first time he's done that in a Masters tournament since '05. A-Rod is 5 home runs shy of tying Willie Mays for 4th place on baseball's all-time home run list with 660. And the Yankees have no plans to celebrate it, but Barry Bonds said in a phone interview that he can't wait for him to reach the milestone. When Alex hits number 660, I will be happy for him. Willie Mays will be happy for him. Everybody should be happy for him. Anytime anybody in the game does something that's a great accomplishment, the game of baseball should celebrate that. And I can't wait until he hits 660. I know I'll celebrate. All right, Stephen A. So the Yankees don't plan to do anything for apparent reasons. So tell me, do you believe it should be celebrated?
Depends on how you look at it. I'm of the mindset that no, it shouldn't be celebrated. But I have profound respect for where Barry Bonds is coming from. You still got to hit the baseball. I don't care what anybody says. And the fact that Alex Rodriguez has connected to hit 655 career home runs is within 5 of capturing Willie Mays. That he has a career batting average of like 299. Okay, and Barry Bonds had about 298, for example. When you look at what Alex Rodriguez has done over the course of his career, you can't take away from the greatness that these guys have exhibited. But Alex Rodriguez, if ever there was a case where somebody contributed to help to take away from it, it's Alex Rodriguez. For me, it's not the performance-enhancing drug use. It's how vehement he was in his denials and his willingness to hurt other people or to smear other people in order to protect himself. It makes me believe that the lies resonated far more significantly than we know. You didn't just get the 2003 report where the names were supposed to be anonymous. before you ultimately admitted you cheated from 2001 to 2003. It stopped there. And then in 2009, well, that was only the second time with the whole biogenesis scandal. He cheated there. Alex Rodriguez, based on his behavior, has given us every reason to believe his entire career has been fraudulent.
Yep.
What I believe Barry Bonds is missing is that Barry Bonds, no one can say that about Barry. You try. You blowing smoke in the wind. Barry Bonds was big time. Now, he wasn't smacking 73 home runs, but he was a walking 30 for 30. He's got 514 career stolen bases. Alex Rodriguez has like 322. Okay? Barry Bonds was a gold glover. Barry Bonds was better in the field. Barry Bonds was better on bases. Barry Bonds could hit home runs, but he could also beat you with doubles and triples. So he was such an effective all-around player. Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer devoid of home runs. Whereas a guy like Alex Rodriguez, some would say incredibly gifted as he may be, so much of his career is brought into question because so much of his ability was predicated on his ability to hit the long ball, because guess what? Not just chicks love the long ball, okay? We all do. In the end, what it comes down to is that there's a whole big question mark about him. So I'm against him being celebrated per se. On its face, the problem is if you're the New York Yankees, you got him in uniform, you paying him, and whatever he does, he's batting 300 right now, got about a home run, 6 RBIs. I'm sorry, last time I checked, that's helped the Yankees win a couple of games. And if you're going to take credit and benefit from his performance in that regard, how do you ignore it once he captures and passes Willie Mays' 660.
So you're conflicted.
I'm conflicted.
I'm going to boil this down to this simple thought.
Okay.
I always rooted for Barry Bonds, and I covered Barry Bonds.
And I still root for Barry Bonds.
So do I.
I want him to get a job in Major League Baseball. He deserves it if Mark McGwire is employed.
I have never, ever rooted for Alex Rodriguez. I just can't. I try, and I fail. For all the reasons you just detailed, I think I should, because you still have to put bat on ball. Can't root for him. One man, Alex Rodriguez, has always been laughably overpaid to me, and Barry Bonds was never, ever overpaid to me. And Alex has started, obviously, going all the way back to 2001, when Tom Hicks, then the owner of the Rangers, gave him a laughably outrageous contract. Wouldn't you say was that the most outrageous contract in the history of sports?
Which one?
The Texas one.
Yes,
Either
Texas.
one of them.
Yes.
But you can sort of play devil's advocate, go back and forth. You know.
Well, the Texas one was pretty bad. The reason
pretty
why I give the Yankees somewhat of a pass, as disgusted as I am with
Yeah.
the skip, he sort of bluffed them in terms of bringing the Red Sox into the mix. And you couldn't let that bat with that right field in Boston end up at Fenway Park.
Texas was bidding against itself at that point when it gave him that
New York
money in
was
2001. Fair enough. So now we've watched Alex Rodriguez go through two patterns of he lied, he was busted, he apologized, he lied, he was busted, he apologized. Again, Barry Bonds never failed a test, but so much has been written. We all get that he almost certainly used some sort of performance-enhancing drugs. I also believe this, from all I have read and heard, that Barry Bonds came late to the steroid party. He was inspired, if not provoked, by Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, because Barry had to sit back and watch the Summer of Love, the great home run race, right? And Barry's thinking, this is what I've read, you know.
Game of Shadows.
Wait a second. Yeah, thank you.
Game of Shadows, Game of Shadows in Sports Illustrated, yep.
And Barry's thinking, wait, if they're doing that, I'm capable. If I have to, I can compete with that. And all of a sudden he goes from 49 home runs to 73 home runs the next year. Wow, really? Well, do I think? Yes, I do think he used whatever he used.
The cream and the clear.
Okay, whichever. Both. But my point is, Barry was always real. To me, in my eyes, he was real. To a fault. He was exactly who he was. Take him or leave him, and a lot of people left him. Alex Rodriguez was always the biggest phony in sports, to me, to my eyes, and watching him play off Derek Jeter and watching him try to handle the New York media. So after a while, you just fall out of love with the guy. You try to embrace, And after a while, you finally say, I can't do that anymore.
Right.
So don't bring me 660 home runs and your little bonus that you might get for passing Willie Mays. I'm sorry, I can't root for you.
In the end, there's a whole bunch of people who've dealt drugs that ain't hitting the home runs that Alex Rodriguez has hit in his career. So let's understand.
Who have done
that's
PEDs.
right. So let's understand that we that's what I meant by drugs, PEDs.
Yeah.
But let's understand that that we're not trying to take away from the obvious sort of greatness, source of greatness that Alex Rodriguez has. But you're right, it's impossible to root for him. I definitely admit that. And again, I think his whole career is up in question. And based on what you're saying, Skip, basically what you're saying about Alex Rodriguez is what America as a society probably has with Tiger Woods. And that is in this respect. Well, Tiger Woods, you ain't going to accuse him of cheating. No. But the issue is that you portrayed yourself and sold yourself to be something you ended up not being. And with Alex Rodriguez, he did it 2 times over that we know of. And so it's really hard. To me, again, I find it very,
I can't put Alex and Tiger in the same spot.
Well, I'm not putting
different. I can't.
No, I'm not. No. I was just talking about America in terms of people like Tiger Woods. It's like, again, I don't have a problem.
Trust me, America still loves Tiger Woods.
Yeah, they do.
No
take
matter
it personal.
Black, white, no matter what
they
you
take it really personal.
I was just talking about what people were demoralized.
I can't tell you how bummed my mom was yesterday about Tiger Woods.
I'm just talking about people who were demoralized when everything happened. That's all I'm talking about.
Wait, so Skip, you say he doesn't deserve his bonus. You don't see any of that. You can't.
Hell no, he doesn't deserve his bonus.
If he makes a milestone, he should not get it.
He should, if he has any, it will go a long way for me with Alex Rodriguez, considering that you signed for $275 million. If he sat up there and said, this bonus, I really don't need this.
I hope he says it.
Because, come on now.
I hope
I hope he says that. I hope he doesn't put up a fight for it.
For $6 million?
Yeah.
When you got $275?
Yeah.
Under false pretenses?
Well, obviously the Yankees are expected to refuse to pay. We shall see what happens when and if he surpasses said milestone. Most of the top MVP candidates are all in action tonight. LeBron will take on the Pistons. James Harden will play in Charlotte against the Hornets. Steph Curry and the Warriors play the Grizzlies. And Yahoo Sports is reporting that Russell Westbrook's T has been rescinded, which means he will play tonight at home against the Trailblazers. So here's the question. Stephen A., is the MVP race over?
I don't believe it is. I believe it's coming right down to the wire. I'm telling you right now, if I had to give my vote today, and it can change by the weekend, I would have co-MVPs. Really? Steph Curry and James Harden. Wow. I can't take it away from either of them. Steph Curry is the best player on the best team in the NBA this year. They've got the #1 seed. They've been absolutely electric. And that show he put on the other night against Portland, I watched that game. It was nothing short of spectacular. Steph Curry is the real deal. You know he's my favorite player in the league to watch, as I've told you. I just love his game. His ball handling skills, his shot off the dribble, his willingness and ability to create for other guys. They go where he takes them. But where would the Houston Rockets be without James Harden? I mean, good Lord have mercy. He's averaging 27.5 a game. He's shot 542 more times than anybody else on the Houston Rockets, at least. He's had to play more than half the season, practically half the season, without the Dwight Howard, who was back, dropped 19, 11, and 3 last night against New Orleans. I know that Steph Curry is special, and the best player on the best team says a lot. I just can't take it from James Harden with what I've seen. James Harden, Corey Brewer, nice game last night, 13 points in the fourth quarter, 20 for the game. And I get they've got some decent pieces on their squad, but they ain't the Golden State Warriors. And, for James Harden to do what he's done, if Houston was the 6th or 7th seed battling for one of the lower playoff spots, that would be given. Skip their #2 seed.
Well, they're
not this one San Antonio is. Yeah. I'm sorry. They're back and forth. They could end up the #2.
They could.
Got 54 wins.
Yep.
It's hard for me to take it from James Harden, man. It's literally that nip and tuck. And I'm going to watch these final couple of games for the season before making my decision.
I hear what you're saying, but right now, at this moment, and most teams have 2 games to go, I'm leaning Steph. And I told you last week, my eyes were on James Harden because he had 2 games back-to-back with a night in between. against my San Antonio Spurs, who are playing the best defense in the NBA as we speak. And I wanted to see James Harden perform, and I was totally prepared to say, you know what? He's just too good. He's that guy. He's this year's MVP in one of those 2 games. And my Spurs won both games. And James Harden, the first night in San Antonio, scored 22, making 6 out of 15 from the field. And then in the home game, the crucial game, the must-win for Houston, James Harden on Friday night scored 16 points on 5 out of 19.
That's true.
And I got to tell you, I'm going to be an objective Spurs supporter here. James Harden did have the guts to take it to the rack at the end of the game. They were down 1 point. Here we go. And I thought Tim Duncan fouled him. He got ball first. I thought he got some wrist. The NBA stood by its call and said the right call was made. But I thought James Harden should have been going to the free throw line to shoot 2 free throws to make 1 to tie and 2 to win. My point is, though, he only scored 16 for the game. He made a lucky 3 late, got a lucky bounce on it, or he would have had only 2 points in that fourth quarter. He scored 5 in the fourth quarter. Then last night, in another big game at home for the Rockets, James Harden had 30 points through the first 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter, I'm not sure what happened, but he scored none. But they pulled away and won the game, so they're still afloat for that 2 seed, or whatever seed's going to end up being a high seed for them. My point is, his stock dropped just a little bit, and I'm picking nits now because I have to, because it's like It's like every night it goes like this. So now I'm saying, right now I give Steph the edge. Houston has 2 games left, at Charlotte and then home against Utah. Not big, but what if he goes off in those games? I'm still open for business.
You're still open for business. I will say this to you. James Harden's got 2 games left against Charlotte and Utah. Utah's nothing to sneak at.
No, they're not.
You know, but
especially Gobert.
That's
It's hard to get to the rack.
But they ain't the Memphis Grizzlies.
No.
Who Steph Curry goes up against next.
Yep.
Show up against Memphis Grizzlies. That might do it for me. But it's that nip and tuck. I don't blame you for your opinion. I'm right near where you are in regards to Steph over James. It's just that I'm holding on for dear life for James because he's carried this team
He has.
on his back. I don't want to hear all of these people texting me about LeBron James. I want to hear it. Right? You know who you are. Stop, okay? LeBron has taken weeks off. And then after that, he took a few games off. LeBron is the best player in the world, but damn it, he ain't getting the MVP this year. It's over. It's a wrap. Try to win the championship. Don't talk to me about LeBron winning the title, the MVP title this year. It's not happening, okay?
Carmen texted you?
No, not
I thought it was.
I didn't say I said LeBron. I said a couple of people in LeBron's camp. I don't want to hear that.
All right.
He's not getting it. He's great, but LeBron is about I'm thinking LeBron and ring.
Okay.
I'm not thinking LeBron and MVP.
All right.
It's for somebody else.
I just wanted to say hi to Carmen.
Hey, Carmen.
Because I love you, Carmen. I do. I love you, Carmen.
Yeah.
And I miss you.
Did you raise an eyebrow for her?
No.
So she knows you love her?
She's mad at me these days.
Uh-oh.
What are you going to do?
Uh-oh.
Brother, sister, love.
Uh-oh.
What are you going to do?
NBA MVP race. The question was, is it over? According to stats, Steph Curry obviously has the most votes, as expected. James Harden right behind him. Russell Westbrook, if in fact OKC gets that final playoff spot, is 3rd. So we shall see. During a recent interview with HBO's Real Sports, Russell Wilson seemed open to the idea of playing baseball during the NFL's offseason, saying he never wants to kill the dream of playing 2 sports. Something to note here, Wilson was a 2-sport star at NC State and has spent a day at the Texas Rangers spring training in Arizona each of the last 2 years. Skip, do you have a problem with Wilson wanting to be a 2-sport athlete?
I guess it doesn't matter if I have a problem with it because I say Russell Wilson should have a problem with it. I think, Stephen A., Russell Wilson is becoming delusional about his baseball abilities. I remind everyone, Russell Wilson played 2 professional seasons at lower division Class A and then regular Class A. He hit a combined 229 at the A level, which should indicate to you that Russell Wilson will never be able to hit big league pitching. So what is the only reason he's suffering these delusions right now? He won a Super Bowl and nearly won a 2nd Super Bowl, and that prompted the Texas Rangers to bring him to spring training for, as you point out, a day or a couple of days, whatever it was. And all of a sudden he's out there feeling ground balls, and he's thinking, hey, maybe I could do this. Could Russell Wilson maybe play second base at the big league level? Maybe a little bit. Could he hit big league pitching? Could he be good field no hit? He might be good field 0 hit is what he would be.
I don't.
Okay, so you're just, it's pie in the sky. You should continue to focus on what got you to where you are, which is your football career. In the off season, listen, Russell Wilson is really good at playing quarterback in the National Football League. And again, you argued about the play call. But he made I thought it was a good pass. It was right there to lock it, and then my guy cut in and made the play of the year in pro football.
Let me get on you here. First of all, I don't believe for 1 second, I totally agree with you, I don't believe that Russell Wilson can hit Major League pitching. So he needs to give up that dream. Okay, stop it. That's number one.
Yeah.
But number two, I'm disturbed for an entirely different reason. I'm mad that you even thinking about anything else after just losing the Super Bowl. Get back and make amends. I don't care what anybody says. Pete Carroll may have made the worst call in Super Bowl history, and I don't think he'll ever live it down. And as much of a great coach as I think he is, damn it, he needs to be reminded religiously.
I bet you do.
Be reminded religiously until they win a Super Bowl, just to make amends for that ridiculous, stupid call that he made. Having said all of that, Russell Wilson was no novice. You could have audibled. You could have gave it to Marshawn Lynch. You could have bootlegged. You could have done something other than throwing the ball over the damn middle and put Malcolm Butler in a position to intercept the ball and blow a Super Bowl 20 seconds away from a Super Bowl. I don't care. I don't care. You don't throw. You just don't do it. It's 20 seconds away from the Super Bowl. You got beast mode a half a yard away.
You're going to overrule your coaches.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Easy for you to say.
Or bootleg.
Yeah.
Or bootleg.
Oh.
Don't take the chance. That's what he needs. We've been talking so much about Pete Carroll. We forgot to throw the damn pass. Russell Wilson needs to be focused on throwing the damn football.
Him for running the play call.
I'm blaming him and Pete Carroll. Both of them.
He wanted him to be disobedient. Of course you did.
You would say that, Patriots.
Nobody
call in Super Bowl history.
Yeah.
Beast mode right behind me.
Everybody was fooled on the Patriots except for the undrafted rookie from West Alabama.
Hero ball. Hero ball. That's what they were doing. And they're the GOATs.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can catch First Take Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on ESPN2.
ESPN Radio, bringing you directly to the biggest events in sports.
Center field, well hit, Hunter back, out of here!
From opening day of baseball,
throw to the plate, safe at the plate!
Right through the World Series.
For the third time in 5 seasons, the San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
Whether it's LeBron, Chris Paul, or Kevin Durant, when the NBA tips off, ESPN Radio is right there when a champion is crowned.
Have a new world champion. The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
And when the magic of bowl season arrives, ESPN Radio is your home for the new college football playoff.
The college football playoff first national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
The biggest events in sports can be found right here on ESPN Radio.